Hello there. Here's my second quarter report plus the first 10 days of July all put onto a spreadsheet. So I was able to collect 6.65 pounds of beets, a negligible amount of peas, 0.125, 1.7 pounds of broccoli, 9 pounds of chard, no, that's for onions, 6 pounds of chard, just under a pound of kale, 12 pounds of rabbit, 7.5 quarts of lemon juice and uncounted whole lemons, 2 pounds of garlic, 2 pounds of turnips, 1.69 pounds of radishes, 15.79 pounds zucchini, 15 pounds of beans, 0.38 pounds of cayenne peppers, 8.5 pounds of pink oyster mushrooms, 18 pounds of patty pan squash, 3.4 pounds of midnight snack cherry tomatoes, 27.75 pounds of russet potatoes, 16.25 pounds of Cherokee heirloom tomatoes, 1.16 pounds of cucumbers, 16.5 pounds of buttercup squash, 3/4 pound of butternut squash, 3.88 pounds of Bonnie tomatoes, like 5 okras, which weighed 0.13. What is that? Da, da, da. The yellow squash didn't get inputted, but I did pick a little of it. 0.81 pounds of Anaheim peppers, 1/4 pound of jalapeno peppers, 1/2 pound of corn, which gives me a grand total of, look at that, 167 pounds of food in 3 months, 10 days. So I feel really good about that. Keeping track of the numbers has helped me stay motivated. Here's one cabinet with some of the food I've put up. I've got a lot of relish, patty pan squash, potatoes, and then what I like to do is buy meat when it's on sale and can that, so there's some seasoned ground beef. Here I have more potatoes and then some chicken that I put up earlier in the year. And then over here, patty pan, chili, salsa, various things, some broth, some fermented lemons, here the light's a little bit weird, but as you can see, there's a whole crate of pickle and a crate of ground beef, and then another crate of more pickles, mixed garden relish, salsa, that sort of thing. So all told, I think I've managed to put up quite a bit already, and the year's only half over. I just picked all this morning. That's over 4 pounds of beans. I've got 2 acorn squash and some more summer squash from the front yard. So here's how the main garden is looking right now. Got some nice Anaheim peppers setting. This cherry tomato just keeps on busting out. Other peppers, Thai basil. These are called garden salsa, a basil, and then this pole bean, as you can see, is stretching up to the top. And over here, the buttercup squash is emerging. I'm gonna go ahead and let it train along the wall here. There's one that's getting ready to grow. Pretty decent looking one right here. There's one on the edge of the wall. There's one there, and there's another one inside there that you can't see. The midnight snack tomato has become unhinged. I stopped being able to really reach and nip off its suckers. So it's just kind of become a tangled mess up there. And down here, the younger burgundy beans that I just picked a bunch of today. Echinacea. I like to pick those when they're about this size and give those to the rabbits. I've got another micro butternut right there, but its vine is kind of starting to expand. We'll see what happens with that. Now these wax beans are pretty much finished, but I'm going to go ahead and let them develop their seeds so that I can save those and plant them again. I really enjoyed those. They grew young and prolific as promised. Over here is the patty pan teepee. I learned this year to grow squash vertically, but you have to stay on top of it because look what happens. Oops, it tilted. So I have to get in there and tie that onto the stake, or else something bad will happen. I'll show you in a minute. But this thing is just so prolific. So many patty pans, as you could tell from my report. And there's more every day. So these little zucchinis are the cautionary tale to remind you to tie your vertically staked squash right away. Don't delay, like I did over there again, because these fell over and they were brittle enough to actually snap. So now they're stunted after they were doing so well. But I tied them back up and they still have a growth tip. So I think they're going to survive and live to make more squash. Finally, the okra is getting taller than the beans. Some of these leeks are really getting a large diameter. Sage, cucumber climbing. So also, when you stake your squash vertically, you can strip all the leaves below the fruit. Here, as you can see, the midnight snack tomato is falling over under its own weight. We'll see what to do. If it does not cut off the bloodline, I'm just going to let it do this because there's no place to tie it at this time. This trellis is collapsing under the weight of all the abundance. And we invited the neighbors to harvest any buttercups that grow on their side of the wall, and they've already taken one. Bon appetit. Yeah, we got corn with tassels and silk. These burgundy beans need to come out. Well, they still have some flowers. That disease is just a pain in my butt. And the Christmas oranges are getting nice and round. The few carrots I planted are still alive and thriving. The oregano has escaped its boundaries. I tell you, I just love thyme. I think it's really my favorite, especially with all the spring vegetables, all the bounty. There's chard back there. That chard is about 3 years old. See, this is more wax beans that I'm allowing to develop into seeds. There's one. And I need to come and go on the back of this plant and get all those sick leaves off of this buttercup but it's growing up and over, and it's got one, two large ones, and then it looks like another baby one is developing here, and it's growing towards towards that. Cucumbers, one growing up the pole, one growing up a string, more growing up the trellis. And I've picked a few more of those. Just love having cucumber with tomato as a snack. So see, the leaves of the burgundy tend to get sick, so I'm not going to collect seeds from this plant. Bonnie Toms, basil, and a view of the collapsing trellis, and Cherokee tomatoes ripening. You can do the same thing with the tomatoes. You take all the leaves off below where fruit has set. So for example here, fruit has set, so I follow that. And then as you can see, there's a leaf here that I could take off. And then, let's see, here's more fruit up here. So if I see where that connects and follow it down, I can take off a sucker. I could take off the leaf. I could take off this leaf. So I have chores. So happy with how abundant it is and the new techniques I've learned. Techniques like cloning, cutting the sucker off and starting it as a new plant, like this Cherokee tomato. And it's got fruit setting, so I need to get in there and, like I showed you, prune off the leaves and suckers. Here's the moldering compost pile. I may turn this into a hugel instead of moving it next time. And this is another chore that I still have to get to, which is I finally got some tea stakes and some extra wire, some chicken wire, so I can open this guy up and actually get at the fruit inside, because it's impenetrable right now. And speaking of impenetrable, today I got up in there and I picked as much as I could, but there are still loads of beans above my reach. And then in the back, there's all that sweet potato vine. So it's kind of smothered out the corns that are in there. Kind of given up on those. I have these corns starting. And then this pepper garden with ancho poblanos. And then there's two more tomato clones in there. And a cucumber vine. Yeah, but I'm going to go ahead and once the beans are finished and I chop them back, I'm just going to allow that sweet potato vine to completely take over. And wherever it touches, we should have tubers. So I thought I'd end this video by saying hello to the grow outs. They are starting to turn silver like their mama. And they're just the sweetest, nicest little bunny friends. Oh my goodness, you're adorable. Aren't you so cute? Oh. I love having a parade of baby rabbits all the time. Love loving them. They have a pretty good life in here. They get to come out and hop on the grass regularly, and